If you're able, would you please stand for the reading of the Word of God, which today comes from Genesis chapter 39, the second clause of verse 6, and concluding with verse 10. Genesis 39, we are continuing to work our way through the saga of the sold sibling, Joseph. Genesis 39, the second clause of the 6th verse from the New King James Version. Now, Joseph was handsome in form and appearance. And it came to pass after these things that his master's wife cast longing eyes on Joseph, and she said, "Lie with me." But he refused and said to his master's wife, "Look, my master does not know what is with me in the house, and he has committed all that he has to my hand. There is no one greater in this house than I, nor has he kept back anything from me but you, because you are his wife. How then can I do this great wickedness and sin against God?" So it was, as she spoke to Joseph day by day, that he did not heed her to lie with her or to be with her. This is the word of the Lord.
Thanks be to God.
You may be seated. That is true. I would not say, however, that looks are not important. Every one of us takes a moment in the morning to make sure we look good. We wash our faces, brush our teeth, comb our hair if we have any, make sure that our clothes are pressed and clean, and we want to look a certain way. So we wouldn't say looks are not important. They're not paramount. And it is true that God does not accept us on the basis of our looks. And for this, we're very grateful. I want to take you to a couple of passages in the New Testament, in the Old Testament rather, that talk about physical beauty and looks. Because every time the scriptures bring up someone's looks, it is for a purpose. There's a reason. Some people's looks are not commented on at all. But whenever it is commented on, it is a part of our understanding of the story. Go with me first to 1 Samuel chapter 16, please. I want to show you a couple of things. We're going to be in the Samuels, in 1 and 2 Samuel. But I want to set this up because this text begins, our text in Genesis 39 begins with the statement that Joseph was handsome. Well, why do we need to know that? Why is that important? 1 Samuel chapter 16. Allow me to read the first 6 or 7 verses. Now the Lord said to Samuel, "How long will you mourn for Saul, seeing I've rejected him from reigning over Israel? Fill your horn with oil and go. I'm sending you to Jesse, the Bethlehemite. For I have provided myself a king among Jesse's sons." And Samuel said, "How can I go? If Saul hears it, he will kill me." But the Lord said, "Take a heifer with you and say, 'I have come to sacrifice to the Lord.' Then invite Jesse to the sacrifice, and I will show you what you will do, what you shall do. And you shall anoint for me the one I name to you." So Samuel did what the Lord said and went to Bethlehem. And the elders of the town trembled at his coming and said, "Do you come peaceably?" And he said, "Peaceably. I have come to sacrifice to the Lord. Sanctify yourselves and come to the sacrifice." Then he consecrated Jesse and his sons and invited them to the sacrifice. So it was, when they came, that he looked at Eliab and said, "Surely the Lord's anointed is before him." But the Lord said to Samuel, "Do not look at his appearance or at his physical stature, because I have refused him. For the Lord does not look or does not see as man sees. For man looks at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart." Now just put a bookmark right there. That's a very important statement. Israel is getting ready to get another king, and Samuel is sizing up the candidates strictly on the basis of looks. And the principle is now given by God himself. You're going at this strictly through a human lens. And the Lord does not look at appearance only. He looks at the heart. I want to remind you of the text that we read earlier that we're going to look at in a moment more thoroughly. Genesis 39:6b. Joseph was handsome. Since you're in Samuel, turn to the left and go to chapter 9, please. I'm going to show you a statement, just a brief statement about Saul. 9:1-2 of 1 Samuel. There was a man of Benjamin whose name was Kish, the son of Abiel, the son of Zerah, the son of Bechorath, the son of Aphiah, a Benjamite, a mighty man of power. And he had a choice and handsome son whose name was Saul. There was not a more handsome person than he among the children of Israel. From his shoulders upward, he was taller than any of the people. So he was tall and good looking. The text says it right there. Go to chapter 16. We read from 16 earlier, but I want you to see in chapter 16 of 1 Samuel a line about David. We were told that God does not look at looks only. Now it gets more specific in 1 Samuel 16. Jesse made 7 of his sons pass before Samuel. This is 16:10. And Samuel said to Jesse, "The Lord has not chosen these." You can picture it, it's almost like a beauty contest. Here my boys, aren't they handsome? Samuel said, "Nah, that's not the one. Nah, that's not the one. Nah, that's not the one. Good looking, but that's not the one." Samuel said to Jesse, "Are all the young men here?" Then he said, "Well, there remains yet the youngest, and there he is, keeping the sheep." Samuel said to Jesse, "Send and bring him, for we will not sit down until he comes here." So he sent and brought him in. Now he was ruddy, with bright eyes, and good looking. That's all I want you to see. Whenever the Bible comments on someone's physical looks, there is a reason. Since we're here, you're right there, just turn to the right to 2 Samuel. I looked at passages in my preparation this week that had to do with physical beauty. I didn't remember there were so many passages that commented specifically on someone's beauty. 2 Samuel 14:25. This speaks about good-looking Absalom and his beautiful daughter Tamar. Now, in all Israel, there was no one who was praised as much as Absalom for his good looks. From the sole of his foot to the crown of his head, there was no blemish in him. My gosh. Reminds me of some of you. Just beautiful from head to toe. Or so you think. And when he cut the hair of his head, at the end of every year, he cut it because it was heavy on him. When he cut it, he weighed the hair of his head at 200 shekels according to the king's standard. To Absalom were born 3 sons and 1 daughter whose name was Tamar. She was a woman of beautiful appearance. More than once in Scripture, people's beauty is spoken of. And over all that, there is this principle from 1 Samuel 16. God is not looking at that only. God is not impressed by your physical beauty. Do take pride in your appearance. Beauty is an asset, but let us make no mistake, it can also be a liability. Before we get into the text, let me take you, you're going back to Genesis 39, but before you get there, just stop at 29. I want to show you Joseph's mom. Joseph, the daughter of Jacob, and is the son of Jacob and Rachel. And in Genesis 29:16, you'll read these words. Now Laban had 2 daughters. The name of the elder was Leah, and the name of the younger was Rachel. Leah's eyes were delicate, but Rachel was beautiful of form and appearance. Joseph was handsome, and so was his mother. His mother was also beautiful. Now we go to our text. Genesis 39, beginning at verse 6. It is not by accident, it is not unimportant that the text comments on Joseph's physical appearance. He's beautiful, he's handsome. Beauty, as much of an asset as it is, can be a liability. Witness Marilyn Monroe or Elizabeth Taylor, who was so beautiful they couldn't even stay with one man very long. Had to spread the beauty around. Elizabeth Taylor was married 8 times, which I doubt would have been the case if she were a homely woman. Marilyn Monroe was married 3 times. Again, I doubt that an unattractive woman would have had that experience. It is not unimportant that Joseph's looks are commented on. Mrs. Potiphar agrees. That is one good-looking man, which is what my wife said when she first saw me. Or maybe not. Thank you.
Let's say that.
Mrs. Potiphar agreed. That is one good-looking young man. In fact, she wanted him. She looked at him. The text says he was handsome, and the text also says she decided she was going to have him. She checked him out. She stalked him. The text says that she cast longing eyes on Joseph. She was checking him out. And Joe refused. This is no ordinary Joe. Many men, perhaps most, would have caved, especially if Mrs. Potiphar was attractive. Now, her looks are not commented on. Maybe she was ugly and it was not a problem to resist her. We don't know. The text doesn't say. We know he was handsome. And he is solidly committed to serving his master, and he's solidly committed to being a young man who honors Yahweh, who honors Jehovah, who honors the living God. The same reasoning he used for not sleeping with Mrs. Potiphar is the reasoning that some would use to sleep with Mrs. Potiphar. Listen to what he says. My master doesn't even check on me. My master doesn't even know what he's got because he trusts me. Paraphrase that, some would justify their hooking up with Mrs. Potiphar by saying, listen, the master doesn't even check on me. I can do this, he won't even know. Joseph says the fact that he doesn't check on me means he trusts me and I will not violate his trust. The same reasoning that Joseph uses to be faithful, to articulate his fidelity to his master and his God, is the same reasoning some would use to violate that trust. Some men would say, my master would never find out. Joseph, demonstrating integrity and loyalty, says, my master would never find out. And I'm not going to violate his trust. And Mrs. Potiphar is as insistent on violation as Joseph is on his fidelity. She is just determined she's going to have him, and he is equally determined that she will not have him. In fact, there's a phrase in here, it's a very interesting phrase. The phrase day by day speaks of a determination that won't quit. Did you see it there? She looked at him, she wanted him, and daily she was trying to figure out how she could make this hookup happen. Day by day, she just kept checking him out. Day by day, hour by hour perhaps, she watched him. She cast longing eyes on him, says verse 7. She would not let up. And he, with that same rhythm, was determined to be faithful to Potiphar and to God. Reminds me of the Samson saga. This day by day, this trying to wear him down. Mrs. Potiphar, by the way, was not successful. But it wasn't because she didn't try. She kept after this brother, day by day by day by day. So it was, verse 7, as she spoke to Joseph day by day that he did not heed her. She didn't proposition him one time and let it go because he said no. She kept dogging that brother. Come on, man. My husband won't find her. Come on. You know you want some of this. Come on. Come on, look at this. You gonna pass all this up? Look at me. The text says she was insistent. This was no one-time proposition. Turn with me to the right, if you will. I know I've got a lot of passages for this sermon, but I want to build the case. But to the book of Judges, please. I want to show you something in chapter 14. Verses 11 through 17 of Judges 14. I especially want to note verse 17. But let me give you the context. And it happened when they saw him, that is Samson, they brought 30 companions to be with him. And then Samson said to them, let me pose a riddle to you. If you can correctly solve and explain it to me within the 7 days of the feast, then I will give you 30 linen garments and 30 changes of clothing. But if you cannot explain it to me, then you will give me 30 linen garments and 30 changes of clothing. And they said to him, pose your riddle, that we may hear it. So he said to them, out of the eater came something to eat, and out of the strong came something sweet.